Hey guys, warm welcome to our next educational video of physics paper 1, and from today we are going to start third unit, that is thermodynamics. So mainly we will cover third law of thermodynamics in this video. So let us begin with the first point, that is third law of thermodynamics. Now it has been known from the theory and practicals or experiments that if the body cool at absolute zero, then in the system we can have maximum possible order state, right? When the particular object or any body cooled at absolute zero temperature, that time that particular object will have maximum possible order, and this corresponds to minimum energy of the particle forming that body. Okay, all the particles which are there in that particular object, those particles will have minimum possible energy. And in 1906, Nernst put forward important conclusion of a series of experiments that are conducted at low temperature, that is called as third law of thermodynamics. So mean precisely, this law stated that the entropy of a pure crystalline substance at absolute zero is zero, or it may be stated as entropy tends to zero at absolute temperature tends to zero, right? If you see in diagram, there is a cuboidal shape of an object having some molecules inside it. Okay, so at 0 Kelvin or at absolute temperature, the entropy of that particular system is also 0. So that time all molecules are there in perfect order. But when temperature increases from 0 Kelvin to the upper level, at that time energy of that particular object or all those molecules also increases, entropy get increases, and that's why molecules are distracted from their particular order. Okay, so this shows that when entropy of that particular object or that particular any uh, material, so that time if entropy gets 0 as absolute temperature tends to 0. So mathematical statement for this law is given as S is equal to K ln W is equal to K ln 1, that is equal to 0, or it may be written as limit t tends to 0 as s tends to 0. Okay, means in short this law says that when and where when a particular object having absolute temperature 0, that time entropy of that particular object is also tends to 0. Okay, so thus at absolute 0 temperature any change in state proceed without a change in the entropy, and this is referred as Nernst heat theorem. We will see in next slide what exactly Nernst heat theorem. Before that, just have an example of third law of thermodynamics. If you see in diagram, there is a jar having small molecules inside it. When temperature is decreased, that time kinetic energy of that all system or all those molecules is also decreased. But when temperature more decreases from initial, that time kinetic energy is also decreases, and all molecules which are there inside the jar are gets come down into one particular direction, or we can say they get close together. But when temperature again decreases at absolute 0, 0 Kelvin means minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. Okay, that much cool, temperature is cooled. That time kinetic energy becomes 0. Entropy is also tends to 0. And you can see in diagram that all molecules which are there inside the jar gets aligned in a perfect order, or they get close together, right? So this is the best example of third law of thermodynamics, which says that as entropy tends to 0 as absolute temperature tends to 0, and molecules of a system or a body are in perfect order. So let us have the perfect definition of third law of thermodynamics. The entropy of a system approaches a constant value as the temperature approaches absolute 0. At 0 temperature, the system must be in the state with the minimum thermal energy, and this statement holds true if the perfect crystal has only one state with minimum energy. Entropy is related to number of possible microstate, as entropy is symbolized as capital S. So according to that, S is equal to kb ln Ohm can be written, right? So when S is entropy of the system, kb is the Boltzmann constant, and Ohm represents number of microstates. So this law is very helpful to get better understanding with physics concepts. Okay, so this is all about third law of thermodynamics. Now moving towards Nernst heat theorem. This theorem is put forward by German physicist Walter Nernst, and he received Nobel Prize in chemistry for this. Okay, so according to Nernst, first he started his theorem from Gibbs-Helmholtz equation, that is represented as G is equal to H plus T dabba G upon dabba T at constant pressure, where G is the free energy, H is the heat content, and all the right hand side term, that is T dabba G upon dabba T, is at constant pressure. So for finite changes of a process, finite changes means small change if takes place in that particular process, then the equation may be represented as delta G. Delta represents for small change. So delta G is equal to delta H plus T dabba delta G upon dabba T at constant pressure. So delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta dabba delta G upon dabba T at constant pressure. Now at 0 Kelvin, means at absolute temperature, the term which is at right hand side of this equation will become 0. Which term? T dabba delta G upon dabba T at constant pressure. This whole term gets 0, and that's why the equation becomes delta G minus delta H is equal to 0. So when temperature approaches to 0, then the change in Gibbs energy of the process becomes equal to the change in enthalpy of that process. That is, limit tau tends to 0 delta G is equal to limit tau tends to 0 delta H. Now, Walter Nernst in 1906 found experimentally that quantity dabba delta G upon dabba T at constant pressure decreases with the decrease in temperature and becomes equal to 0 at absolute 0, right? So this statement is called as Nernst heat theorem, and mathematically it may be written as limit delta T tends to 0 dabba delta G upon dabba T at constant pressure is equal to limit tau tends to 0 dabba delta H upon dabba T at constant pressure is equal to 0, right? So that third term, which is whole term T dabba delta G upon dabba T at constant pressure is 0. That is the main statement of Nernst heat theorem. So it may be stated as there is no change in entropy of the system when the process occur in the vicinity of the absolute 0. And this statement can be proved by using relation dabba G upon dabba P at constant temperature dP plus dabba G upon dabba T at constant pressure dt is equal to V dP minus S dt. So at constant pressure we may have dabba G upon dabba T at constant pressure is equal to minus S, that is entropy. Okay, so this is all about Nernst heat theorem. Now look at the Maxwell relations. To describe the thermodynamic or microscopic state of a system or any body, which one uses the thermodynamic coordinates or variables like the extensive variables such as volume, entropy, internal energy, while temperature, pressure are intensive variables. So any two variables can completely describe the thermodynamic state as they are depend upon each other, right? So Maxwell gave the relations which shows two variables inside that. Okay, so see the relations which are derived by Maxwell. The first is dabba T upon dabba V at constant entropy is equal to minus dabba P upon dabba S at constant volume. This is the first relation that shown by Maxwell. And if you see in the variables, the four variables are there: temperature, volume, pressure and entropy. But the first relation is performed at constant entropy and constant volume. Now second is given as dabba T upon dabba P at constant entropy is equal to dabba V upon dabba S at constant pressure. So second equation has given at constant entropy and constant pressure. Now third is like that: dabba P upon dabba T at constant volume is equal to dabba S upon dabba V at constant temperature. Okay, so these are the four main relations that are derived by Maxwell. So how he derived these equations? He had applied dz is equal to m dx plus n dy, that is give you dabba m upon dabba y at constant x is equal to dabba n upon dabba x at constant y, and this he applies to the four relations, that is du plus t du is equal to t ds minus p dv. Then second is dh is equal to du plus p dv plus v dp, that is t ds plus v dp. And third is df is equal to du minus t ds minus s dt, that is gives you minus p dv minus s dt. And last is dg is equal to dh minus t ds minus s dt, that is give you v dp minus s dt. So here all those variables are taken, intensive and extensive variables, that is temperature, internal energy, enthalpy, then pressure, volume and entropy. So applying that dabba m upon dabba y at constant x is equal to dabba n upon dabba x at constant y, you will get these all four Maxwell relations. So these all are called as Maxwell relations, and they are extremely valuable in thermodynamics because they provide a means of determining the change in entropy which cannot be measured directly by simply measuring the changes in properties of P, V and T, right? We cannot measure the entropy directly, but if you know the change in pressure, change in volume and change in temperature, just using these three variables and using these four Maxwell relation, we may be study about any thermodynamic system. Okay, note that Maxwell relations given above are limited to simple compressible system. However, other similar relations can be written just as easily for non-simple systems such as those involving electrical, magnetic or other effects. So this is all about Maxwell relations. Now let us have Clausius-Clapeyron equation. Substances can exist in three phases, right? You all know three phases, that is solid, liquid and gases. Whenever there is a change of a state, either from solid state to liquid or from liquid to vapor state, that time temperature remains constant. Also such changes as at this temperature depends upon the pressure and properties of each substance. So boiling point and melting point vary with the pressure, right? Such a phase changes also involve consumption of heat, that is called as latent heat of phase change. So using Maxwell's thermodynamic relation, which we have seen in last slide, and using second law of thermodynamics, we can get the so-called Clausius-Clapeyron equation, right? So this equation is useful and gives the rate of change of vapor pressure with temperature, that is dP upon dt, in terms of the enthalpy of vaporization, that is delta H VAP, and volume of the liquid VL, and volume of the vapor, that is VV, at the temperature T and pressure equal to the vapor pressure, right? So equation may be written as dP upon dt is equal to delta H vaporization divided by T in bracket VV minus VL. whereas dP upon dt is the change in vapor pressure with the temperature, right? And delta H VAP is the enthalpy of vaporization, VV is the volume of vapor, VL is the volume of liquid, and T is the temperature. So this is all about Clausius-Clapeyron equation. So in this video we have seen third law of thermodynamics and its example. Then we have seen Nernst heat equation and four Maxwell relations as well. And lastly we have seen Clausius-Clapeyron equation, and that is the application of Maxwell relations. So these all points that we have covered in the today's video. So write these points in your notebook and we will meet in next video with new content. Till then, thank you and bye bye.